on Bourbon Street, you could find just about everything from beautiful artwork to good food.
But this isn't the Bourbon Street in New Orleans. This is Bourbon Street in Hollywood.
And it's not really a street you can drive down because it's actually part of the Hollywood Mall. I'm Jerry Penacoli.
And I'm Karen Kelly. And tonight on Channel 4's TM Magazine, we're going to meet a Hollywood family whose water skiing abilities are breaking records. And it's all done barefoot. And we'll watch as this 2-year-old follows in his father's barefoot steps.
Then we'll discover the ultimate baseball card collection. This man's $1 million collection fills an entire warehouse and includes the world's rarest baseball card.
In our departments, plant expert Steve Pizzicono shows us how to apply weed killer to our lawns.
Dave Putnam shows us a quick and easy way to make your own hanging lantern. And Judy Silver shows us one of the most unusual ways we've seen to liven up a party, living food.
If you wanted to go water skiing, you might go with a friend, or you could stop by a sports shop and buy some water skis. At this sports shop, they don't have any water skis, but it wouldn't really matter for the Hollywood man we're about to meet because he water skis barefooted. And he and his wife are teaching their 2-year-old son to be the youngest barefoot water skier in the world.
Go!
This is hardly the conventional way to go water skiing, but then you're not looking at a conventional skier. For John Candler Jr. of Hollywood, using water skis lost its thrill a long time ago. Now anything on water is done barefoot.
When I go into something, I want to be the best. I want to try. I may not be the best, but I'm going to try to be the best.
It's won him a national championship, and he's hoping to still make the world team. But right now, John's attention is on his 2.5-year-old son, Kurt John. If his goal is realized, we could very well be watching the training of the world's youngest barefoot skier.
Okay, now lift 1 foot for the 1 foot.
As husband and wife, you'll find Cindy and John Candler hard to separate. For one thing, they work together. Cindy is a dispatcher with the Broward County Sheriff's Office, and many of her calls go to her husband on patrol. It sometimes puts John in dangerous situations, but no matter how much they care for each other, neither has the time to worry about it.
I don't ever favor him over any other deputy out there, because I wouldn't want anything to happen to any of them.
I don't feel there's any danger. As far as myself, I like to look at myself as being cautious.
They're a working team all day on patrol, but when they come home from work, their teamwork goes on. That's when their uniforms are exchanged for wetsuits. And according to John, their roles are exchanged too.
She gives me the orders at work, but I give her the orders on the lake.
John's free time is spent water skiing on the lake behind his home, barefoot. In fact, the lake was the reason he and Cindy bought the home. It's sometimes practice and fun, but most often it is serious practice between husband and wife for a sport very few people have ever accomplished.
It's all individual. That's what I like about the sport, because whenever you do something, you can get the credit for it, or if you mess up, it's your fault. You know, it's an individual thing.
John won the national championship for men's barefooting in 1978, which is quite an accomplishment for someone who had no formal training. After seeing a barefooter for the first time years ago, John decided to learn the hard way, by trial and error.
The first time I ever tried, I just went by what I saw in the movies, the way those guys did it. I went about 50 feet. But the rest of the day, I couldn't go at all. I mean, I was just falling, and I took my share of falls.
There's still a lot of falls to be had in a serious practice, but oftentimes it's Cindy who will coax him into trying again.
If a guy's going to be into something, his wife's got to be interested in it, or if he's not going anywhere.
Sometimes his talent on water can come in handy when John wants to fool a few friends who are along for the boat ride.
No, once in a while I fall in, like, oh!
But for a person to stay on top in barefooting, it means more than keeping your feet above water. Competition is based on degree of difficulty, and a lot of the Candlers' time is spent on different ways to start out from the dock. If you think jumping forward looks hard, try being pulled backward by your feet in what's called a backward flying dock toe start. It's all methods that John needs to master for his ultimate goal.
I'd like to make the world team, but the oldest guy on the world team last year was 22 years old, and I'm almost 34 years old, and it gets harder every year.
There's another goal that's even more important to John. That's teaching the sport to his 2.5-year-old son, Kurt John.
When he was first born and brought home from the hospital, I took a little picture, a wallet-sized picture of me barefooting, and taped it inside his bassinet. And I put a little ski rope and handle in there. He skied for the first time when he was 16 months and 20 days old.
It can be frustrating at times. As with any 2.5-year-old, he can only learn so much at once.
Stand up. Go ahead. You got to stand up. Now remember, when you get...
And when other things are happening, his attention span is only so long.
Okay, we'll get to Ducky later.
But when Kurt John finally gets down to practice, you couldn't find two parents more proud.
The thrill when he goes around that lake, even now after he's been doing it, is, you know, it's just great.
And John definitely has high hopes for his son's future.
I'd like to see him become the world's youngest barefooter.
Now, if you ask Kurt John, he might say he has another goal in mind.
Always, I jumped the ramp over that blocking one.
He's talking about the 8-foot ramp his father and he have been building. You see, his father was also the first person in Florida to ever jump a ramp barefooted. Although it's probably not something John will be teaching his son in the near future.
Bud, it's time to go. You ready? Let's go, Bud. Time for lunch.
Maybe there will be an entire family barefooting and jumping ramps here someday. But until then, it's reason for John Candler to play it safe, especially with the dual role in life he leads.
In my job, you just got to be cautious. It's just like with the barefooting. I don't take chances out there, and I don't take chances when I'm working.
And chances are, it may only be a dream John will make the world team. But he's going to keep on trying.